Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and I have so much news to bring you. Line Sudoku is out. It's out on, it's out on Android, which is, I think, Google Play. I think it should be out by now on iOS, which is App Store. And I think on those platforms it's £4.99 in British money. Not sure if you're getting it. You may be getting it for $4.99 US, which is a real bargain if so, in the States, and whatever your local currency is. Anyway, look into it, because all you need to do is find the Cracking the Cryptic app and load that up. That's free, and then you can choose the paid options within it. And Line Sudoku is the newest. It is absolutely fabulous. It contains puzzles by some of the world's best Sudoku authors. I can say that without fear or favour. I have tested the puzzles. They are awesome. There's a wide range of difficulty. It's great fun. Do give it a go. We've been trading it for months, frankly, but it is now available. And there's currently, I think, 40 puzzles released, and there will be updates to bring that up to a total of 100 in the end. Excellent. That is out. Steam will be a little later. They have an even slower approval process than the other two. It's kind of two-layered. But might even be out by now. I don't know. Steam are very unpredictable. But slightly cheaper, I think, to load it up there. Anyway, check it all out. It's great. And tomorrow on Patreon, we launch the Skunkworks Trick or Treat. Nexpeditions, the 6x6 Sudoku pack, and it is, with Skunkworks and the fact that it's called Trick or Treat, there's going to be some tough stuff there, but it is a lot easier, certainly, to get to the first stage where you can enter the competition than our recent Patreon reward packs. So do give it a go. This is a chance to dip your toe into the Patreon waters and come out a hero. So give it a go. If you want to get your name on the scroll of honor, you have to do the puzzles towards the back end, which are a bit more difficult. And I will be showing you one of the puzzle types that they're introducing in today's video. Now, what else is there? Our book, you can still order copies of our book, certainly PDF copies. Go to the link under the video and you can get involved in that. So we're releasing Cracking the Cryptic's Greatest Hits Volume 2. And we believe it will be printed and delivered in time for Christmas. We are crossing our fingers and hoping that we're not making promises that can't be fulfilled this year. Last year the year before, there was a global shipping crisis that really interfered at the wrong moment. Just loads going on, as always, around the channel. Check out all the links under the video for Patreon, for the apps, for merchandise, for Sven's Sudoku Pad. But the first link is to this 6x6 puzzle, which comes with no numbers printed anywhere in it. Just some cages and question marks and a fascinating rule set. But I'm going to tell you the backstory first, which Damasos sent us, which is fascinating. He was having a discussion with Mixo about whether it was possible to combine full rank and X-sum clues. And they worked out that it just wasn't in a normal Sudoku. And Damasos went, well, wait, what about the new Quattro Quadri format that Roundplane has come up with on Skunkworks? And this is the thing that you will get introduced to in the 6x6 Trick or Treat pack, because there are 3 Quattro Quadri puzzles. And we'll go through the rules of Quattro Quadri here. And it's a very interesting new take on setting up a Sudoku, I think. But anyway, Roundplaner and Mixo looked into that, and it still wasn't possible. But it was a lot closer. And then this is Damasos and Mixo. And then Damasos came up with a further tweak to use the digits 0 to 8 instead of 1 to 9. And suddenly he has achieved this almost miraculous grid. And I will go through the rules now. I mean, I love how these things have their genesis and evolve into puzzles that are amazing. And I have a feeling this one is going to be amazing. Do have a go at it if you wish first. I'm going to go through the rules now. So, now, Each of the 3x3 boxes that we see, there are 4 3x3 boxes in this puzzle, and quattro quadri means 4 squares in Italian, I think, or Latin, I don't know, or both. You have to put 0 to 8 in each of the 3 boxes, all of those digits in each of the 4 3x3 boxes. Digits may not repeat in the same row, column, or box of the 6x6 grid. Now, what that means for the rows and columns is that they won't be complete. They won't be a complete set of digits from 0 to 8. They'll be missing 3 of them. And that's what makes this a little harder to get your head around, because you're not completing every row and column, but you are completing every box. You're just avoiding clashes in rows and columns. So that's quattro quadri as a principle. Basically, you're allowed to use 9 digits to fill a 6x6 grid. Now, here we go. Digits in cages don't repeat, and cages all sum to the same total. So I think there are 8 cages in this puzzle. They all add up to the same total. Interesting. All the question marks are different digits from 1 to 6. I didn't notice that when I skimmed through the rules. All the question marks are different digits from 1 to 6, but they each act as both a full rank clue and an X sums clue at the same time. Now, in full rank, you have to consider all the rows and columns of the grid read forwards and backwards as 6-digit numbers. So that's one, that's another, etc., etc. in the rows, that's another in the columns, but also reading up, you get a different 6-digit number, and reading right to left. So there are 24 of those 6-digit numbers in the puzzle, there must be. And if you were to rank them in ascending order, number 1 might be in this column, and then that would get a 1 outside the grid as its full rank number, if its number appeared. So that's what full rank means. It is a rule set that turns up sometimes in the World Sudoku Championship or similar competitions. It's not entirely new. It can be fiddly to work with, but it's very interesting. It changes things up. Now, X sums, we've had quite a few times on the channel. And there, the number outside the grid gives the sum of the first X digits in the respective row or column, where 3 is the digit nearest the clue. So if this column, for instance, went 3, 5, 4, 2, 1, 6, the X sum clue would be adding the first 3 digits, because that's the first digit, and that would mean it was 12, because that's what the first 3 digits add up to. The clue outside the grid would be 12. And if you were dealing with a 12 X sums clue, at least in a 1 to 9 Sudoku, you'd know it would begin with 2, 3, or 4. No, 3 or 4 specifically, actually. And you can work that out for yourself. But in this puzzle, the question marks represent the digits 1 to 6, and each acts as both a full rank clue and an X sums clue. And that's a really, really interesting rule set. And we're using 0 to 8 in this puzzle, not 1 to 9. Did I mention that at the start? I may not have done. I mentioned it in the setup, but if I didn't mention it in the rules, it is vital. We're using 0 to 8 to fill each box. Okay, that's it. Have a go. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. I say I'm going to start. I haven't got a clue how we begin this. I haven't got a clue. I wondered briefly about the sum of the cages. If there are 8, we do know the sum of the total grid. It's 0 to 8 in each box, which is 36. That times 4 is 144. Now, there are 6 cells not in cages. Now, the trouble is, they could add up to anything between about, 21, 20. Feels to me like about 44 maximum and 6 minimum. And that really isn't going to affect the total significantly. There's still going to be a range of about 38, which will include about 4 multiples of 8 that will be the sum of the cages. I'm not going to start there. I mean, I've given it some thought. Okay, let's think about these question marks. The question marks, I can't highlight the question marks, I can only highlight the cells next to them. And I'm going to highlight them just to think about them. The question marks are the numbers 1 to 6. So wherever there's a 1, the first cell is a 1. I'm remembering there are zeros, but you can't start with a 0. Okay, I've now worked out there are no zeros in the whole perimeter from the combination of the two rules. I think we might be able to do better. I think we might be able to say that where there's, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to empty the grid again. I'm going to aid memoir how we can fulfill these question mark clues. So the 1, look, I'm just going to write 1 to 6 down here. This isn't, I'm not filling in the grid. I'm just noting things down to have a think about them. The 1 clue has got to be a single digit 1 x sum, and that's adding itself. Now the 2 clue, that has to start with a 2. It can't start with a 1, or you would only add 1. So it must start with a 2 and then have a 0. The 3 clue must start with a 2 for the same sort of reason and then have a 1. Oh, I see. Okay. So they're absolutely fixed. That's how they're going to work. And that is obeying the full rank ordering, because in the full rank ordering there is a 6-digit number beginning with a 1, then there's a 6-digit number beginning with a 2 that has a 0 second digit, and then a 6-digit number beginning 2-1, and they are ranked up as we ascend in terms of order. That's fine. Now the 4, I don't think that can begin with a 2, because you'd need another 2 and a 0. Well, no, you'd need another 2 following it. It just can't. So it must begin with a 3. It can't begin with a 4. It begins with a 3, and then it either goes 3, 0, 1 or 3, 1, 0. The 5, again, can't begin with a 4. That would be too many digits. So it begins with a 3, and then it has to have a mix of 0 and 2. Has to. I mean, that has to be right. And the 6, again, it can't begin with a 4, because the minimum you could have with a 4 is 4, 0, 1, 2 adds up to 7. So the 6 begins with a 3, and then the other 2 digits are a 1 and a 2. And these can ascend in rank. You just have to be careful not to do them the wrong way round. But that's what we get. So in the perimeter of the grid where these full ranks begin, and remember, I'm also thinking about the 6-digit numbers that aren't given clues, because they count in the overall rankings. But the 1 must be on its own as the only thing in the perimeter beginning with a 1, or the only 6-digit number that starts from the perimeter beginning with a 1. So it is the only 1 in the perimeter. The 2s, there are only 2 2s in the perimeter. Now, with the 3s, have to be a little careful, because there could be a fourth item from the perimeter beginning with a 3 that had a 4 or a 5 or a 6. Or even it could begin 3, 2, 4 or something. So, and be higher ranked than all of these. So, don't know. So what I do know, I'm literally going to write down these possibilities, because that aid memoir may not stick in my brain entirely. Sorry, you can refer back to this part of the video if you need to consult it again. We may not need to, I don't know, but I'd like to have those available. And now I'm going to, well, let's just undo what I've done. And we will start again now, knowing that the perimeter only has one, and in these cells it has 1 1, 2 2s and 3 3s, and the rest of the perimeter can't have any 1s or 2s in. Is it worth pencil marking? You know me, I'm going to do it. 7 8 now. I don't need to put a 9 in, there are no 9s in the puzzle. Now, how has that helped at all? So let's consider these again. One of them is a 1. 2 of them are 2s and 3 of them are 3s. Right, for 3 of them to be 3s, there's 1 in that box, 1 in that box, and 1 in the bottom row. Doesn't quite... Oh, I tell you what, there's no 3s in the corner. No song in this puzzle, because for there to be 3 3s in the perimeter in these positions, the corners all must be seen by those 3s. I don't think it's time to use the cage totals yet. Gonna have to think about these. Right, let's think about the boxes. Okay, we don't... This T shape. Oh yes, okay. All of the other digits in the X sum parts are low, aren't they? They're very low. If we start with, oh yeah, they're always 0, 1 or 2. Okay, one of these boxes, box 1 or box 2, one of them doesn't have a 1 in. Maybe both, but one of them doesn't have a 1 in. And therefore, the two thingies, the two starting cells, will be a 2 and a 3. That's not going to work in this box. If you put a 2 and a 3 in this box, all of these cells would be in the X sums. And you're only allowed to use 0, 1, 2, and 3, and that's 4 digits for 5 cells. That is not going to happen. So there is a 1 in this cage. That's really interesting. That's a good move. There isn't a 1 in any of these other yellow cells. And now we've got a 2, 3 pair along the bottom. And we've got a 2, 3 pair in this box. And the 2, 3 pair in this box is going to meet, because again, it's this T that I was thinking about. We cannot fill 5 cells with 0, 1, 2 or 3, which if that was 2 and that was 3, we would be doing. So it's the other way around. That is a 3 and that is a 2, and these two X sums meet at this cell. This is either 2, 0 or 2, 1, and this is... Well, I don't... Oh, no, this is either a 0 or 1, because we've used up 2 and 3 in the box. So this is... Oh, this clue is 4. This question mark on the left of the grid is definitely 4. It is... Because this adds up to 4 in its 3 cells. This one at the top is either 2 or 3. Now, one of these is a 1. This cell is in an X... No, I don't know that. That's not a 2. No, this could be a 1 and that a 2. No, that can't be right, because the second 2 is going to get used up. The perimeter, remember, we have 1, 1, 2 2s and 3 3s. The second 2 is going to be used up in the bottom row, so there's no 2 in box 2. That is a 1 and a 3 pair, and that cell is going to get used with, well, with a 0 or a 2 in it, because we've had the 1, 3 pair in the box now. Now the only place for a 3 in the perimeter is in one of those 2 cells. Now what? If that was a 3, then you'd have a 0, 1, 2, 3 quadruple here. If that was a 3, you'd have a 0, 1, 2, 3 quadruple in the cage. But both of those possibilities look possible to me. I don't know which is going to be right. Now, if that's a 3, this has to be a 2, and that's a 0. If that's a 3, this is a 2 in the same cage with a 0 or 1 here. Ah, look, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. If this is a 2, this digit is 0 or 1, because the two possibilities that begin with a 2 are 2, 0 and 2, 1. And that digit would then have to go in here, and that would repeat the 2, 0 or 2, 1. That's beautiful. So that is not a 2. That's the 3. This is the 2, and annoyingly that doesn't sort out this cell. But now these two are in they include a 2. They're in the X sum. And it's either a 5 or a 6 X sum, 302 or 312. This one obviously needs a 0 or 1 next, which is different from that cell. Right, what happens if this is a 1? That has to be a 3 in the same cage. Then that has to be a 0. Oh, it's lovely. That doesn't work again. It's a bit more complicated than the last time with 0 or 1 here if that was a 2. But it is exactly the same. So if this is a 1, you get a 3 here. This cell becomes yellow and a 0. That's not actually the interesting part. Oh, it is sort of the interesting part. Sorry, if that's a 1, that's a 3, this is 0, that's 2. So we've used up the 5 clue. This is then the 6 clue, 3, 2, 1. And again, that's putting 1 here, and you've got 2 different 2, 1 starts. So this is not a 1, consequently. That is the 0. This is the 1. So we've got our 2, 0 start, our 2, 1 start. This is a 0. This now doesn't have a 0. This clue adds up to 6. So this question mark is a 6. This one's a 2. This one's a 3. This one's a 4. These two are 1 and 5. And 5 requires a 3, 2, 0, which can't go through there because that cell couldn't get filled. So this is the 3. That is a 2. Might as well colour it yellow. That's a 0, and this is a 1. Oh, things have gone wrong. That is a 0. There we go. That is all of the X sum clues done. Now, remembering the full rank thing, yes, I can do this as well. Perfect, because the full rank rule says that this starts with a 1, so it must be the lowest number in the ranking order. This starts with 2-0, so it's next. This starts with 2-1. This starts with 3-0-1, that's fine. But this is the 5th full rank, and it starts 3-2-0. And this has to be a higher number, so it can't start 3-1-2, and it must start 3-2-1. And now we don't actually have to think about the full rank thing anymore. As long as we obey... That's not quite true. This can't be a 3. Okay, interesting. This can't be a 3 because 3-0 something would be less than 3-2-1, for instance, and break this being a 6. You'd have to get, well, it would actually be number 5, I think. Anyway, that's not a 3, therefore, because every other 6-digit number from the perimeter of the grid has to start at least 3-2-1 and probably higher. Now this can still be a 3. And, okay, now, the interesting thing about quattro quadri is you kind of feel, because you're not completing any row or column, that the normal where does X go in such a row questions aren't really available in Sudoku. But they are as regards boxes, because each box has all the digits, in this case from 0 to 8. So this box needs a 3 in. Where does that 3 go? Well, Sudoku tells you not there. We've worked out by full rank it's not there. So it's now in this cage. Now it is definitely time to think about what the cages can add up to. Because this one has a real minimum. It is, well, no, this has a maximum, sorry. 1, 2, 3 and an 8 would make 14. This has a minimum of 12, 0, 3 and a 4, 5 pair. So the cage total for the grid is somewhere between 12 and 14. Actually, where does 1 go in this box? I think we know exactly where it goes. It goes there. Can we do this with all of 0, 1, 2 and 3? Yes. Well, no, because yes, we can place 0 in box 3 there. 3, oh no, 3's in one of those 2. Yeah, sometimes you can't get it exact. All the 2's are done as well. Okay, well that was a tiny bit of fun while it lasted. Now, the cage totals are from 12 to 14. So this needs another 9 to 11. This needs another 9 to 11. So does that. This one needs another 11 to 13. Well, 4 and 5 can't be in here. We've got to add up to at least 12. So given that these two have a 3 in, the next lowest digit they can have is a 6. The top row. Oh, I mean, there's no secret as such in this puzzle, because each row and column doesn't have to add up to the same thing, which is peculiar. But can't we do maths on this? Because we're not allowed any 0s and 1s here. Right. What we've got in this top row are 6 of the 7 digits between 2 and 8, which add up to 10, 20, 35. And we've got 2 lots of X, where X is the sum of the cage. So that's going to be even. So we've got to take out an odd digit. We're either removing 7 from these potentials or 5. If we remove 5 from 35, they add up to 30, and the sum would be 15, and that's not possible here. So we're going to remove 7, and the sum is going to be 14. That is the cage sum in this puzzle, 14. This one needs another odd digit to get there, so it's got the 5 and a 6, and that's 14. This is 2, 4, 8, and that's 14. Now, this cage needs an 8, so it is 3, 8. Now, look, we've got all sorts of Sudoku in the boxes. 5, 6, 7 are a triple there. 4, 7, 8 are a triple in this box. What about this cage? These two have to add up to 13 now. Well, that can't be a 4, and that can't be a 7. These two have to add up to 11. So this is 5, 6, or 4. These two have to add up to 11, so they don't have an 8 in. These two, same story exactly. These two have to add up to 13. Oh, these don't have an 8 in by Sudoku because of the 3, 8 pair. Yeah, a bit stuck now. Oh, that's a 4, 5, 6, 7 quad. My goodness, that'll do. So we get an 8 in the corner. That's a 4. This is from 4, 5, 6, 7 as well, just to fill this box. Oh, and this is 8 in this box. We've got another 4, 5, 6, 7 quad. That's 8. Now we can fill this cage to make 14 with a 5. That gives me 5 to take out of lots of cells. 5 coming out means that's not a 6. 5 coming out of here means that's not a 6. Sorry, this is probably very obvious now how to proceed. Not to me. These two. It's so weird when the rows and columns don't have to add up to the same number. I find that such an oddity. Now, there's nothing left to do in the full rank. I don't think there is. Oh, that's a 5, 6, 7 triple. Looking at that cell. Right. Now, to make this cage add up to 14, that's a 5. This is going to do it. Now, this cage has to add up to 14 with a 4 there. This is a 5, 6 pair. This is a 7 to fill the box. That's a 4 to complete the cage. 6, 7 pair gets the corner done. These can't have 8. And the 6, 7 pair looks... Look at this. Oh, magnificent. 6 and 7 are done by the 7 in the bottom row. That sorts out 6 and 5. And I think this is the answer to a miraculous puzzle. That is so clever. Wow. I mean, you do have to understand full ranks. So let's have a look at the full ranks. The way they would work is this 180567 number is rank number 1. Then you've got 203876 rank number 2, then 215087. We keep getting bigger by going 301274, 32514, 321604. That takes us to the end of the clued ranks 1 to 6. But then there are still 406123, 410538, 415023, 472103. Then there are several beginning with 5, 537426. I mean, we could keep giving these numbers all the way up, but it's not that interesting anymore. I mean, that's a fascinating mix of rules, Damasosos. Brilliant. Thank you so much to Damasosos and everybody who contributed to the thinking behind that puzzle, because it's really interesting. Do check out the Skunk Works Trick or Treat, because in the second half of that, there are 3 of these Quattro Quadri puzzles, and they do make you think differently. They're very clever. I recommend them highly, but that's been good fun. Thank you, as always, for watching. Check out all our stuff, but we'll see you again for more Sudoku tomorrow. Thank you. Bye for now.